I should say the things have changed in some ways.
Who is the determinant of the public interest?
The more time people spend in digital worlds, the more of our lives we live there.
Intercoin, bringing power to the people. There is one huge exception that I need to warn everyone about. Because Ethereum allowed anyone to create a smart contract, it also allowed creation of smart contracts very easily that have backdoors and sometimes simply bugs that cost people millions of dollars. We've seen this not just with bridges between blockchains, which are very vulnerable, but also with essentially custom smart contracts. Most of the meme coins and the fads that people invested in were built, each of them, on an individual smart contract. And that smart contract was, in fact, custom. This is very, very dangerous and inefficient because who knows, you're not a developer, and even if you were, would you be able to catch that on line 235, there is a backdoor that says, on this date, change the contract behavior and start funneling all the money to this address, right? Even projects like Hex did not initially disclose that they had an origin address, and people simply had to look at the code to discover that they in fact had an address that was receiving a lot of the money. Now, you could say that's a desirable part of the system, and the people that tend to stay in that project, Hexicans, like the idea of one giant whale that's able to essentially wield some sort of outsized influence on the ecosystem. Be that as it may, that was a custom smart contract. And my point is that there are a lot of other projects that people trust day in and day out, but don't realize why it is that they trust those and get rug pulled by others. The reason that some projects are completely trustworthy is because they and their smart contracts are being produced by smart contract factories. Smart contract factories are simply smart contracts themselves that can produce instances based on a template. In other words, these instances all have the same basic code and only differ in their parameters. For example, Uniswap pools only differ in how much is the initial liquidity and what is the token pair, which two assets are they trading. Similarly, on other more complex exchanges like Curve, there can be multiple sets of assets that are being traded all at once, not just in a pair. But the idea is that all of these liquidity pools have exactly the same code, and it's been audited by many different companies, and it's been battle tested over the years by people putting real money and having absolutely zero exploits over time. So can we 100% guarantee there are no bugs? No, perhaps one day a bug will finally be discovered. But having so many people battle test and put money into it and so on is a much better guarantee that your liquidity pool, that is like every other liquidity pool, is going to do what it says it's going to do. So this enables marketplaces like Uniswap or Aave, which is a lending marketplace that brings together lenders and borrowers. It allows these marketplaces to operate with pretty much 100% trust in both the underlying network, which is run by Ethereum, let's say ecosystem, and into a smart contract, which is then running on top of that, which is the software. Intercoin, our company, helps to build the kind of software that communities can then put their trust in. And we're going to be the first ones to say that our software needs to be vetted, needs to be audited, and then battle tested by more and more communities. So it could be that version 1, just like version 1 of Uniswap, okay, may have some inefficiencies and improvements, and indeed even bugs that people could discover. So people might lose money due to a bug that was discovered, just like they did with Ethereum Classic and so on. But then people come in with version 2, and we're planning to fix those bugs as a team, and then the open source, the wider ecosystem can contribute bug fixes on GitHub to us. And together, we can create version 2 of the smart contract. And as more and more of these are fixed, what you get is a more and more resilient system. Just like Linux, just like Nginx and Apache Web Server, and all these open source building blocks that are now power the web and the internet and all these things that we rely on every day. Just like those things, we are building an ecosystem, an open source ecosystem that the entire world can rely on. And the difference between that ecosystem and the closed source one of banks and closed exchanges and closed platforms with their server farms that store all your data, and you just have to trust them, the difference is huge. People who think that Web3 is just about Ponzi schemes and grift don't understand that there is a fundamental shift in technological ability and opportunity to create real code that serves the public. We already see open protocols like Uniswap, which launched, I think, in 2019, like Aave Marketplace, and many others that people rely on. They don't realize, but they rely on it because it's built on a factory model. Factories produce instances that are all the same. So don't invest in smart contracts that are one-offs because you don't know what they're going to do, but you can and should be able to trust smart contracts that have been produced by factories. And the more people use those factories, the more trust you can have in this type of thing. So if you see a factory that more and more communities and investors are putting their money into, then you could see that this is the new thing. This is eliminating the intermediaries. It's disintermediating these things that centralize power in the hands of a few people like Elon or Zuck or SBF and even, to be honest, CZ or myself. It's essentially, if Vitalik Buterin, for example, does something crazy, it's not going to really kill Ethereum. You can assassinate, God forbid, Vitalik, and nothing would happen to Ethereum, because that's the point of a network that's owned by the community and is not necessarily controlled by any one person. So that's huge, and that's because when you want to accumulate liquidity and trust in one place, you want to make sure that the governance of that one place and the layer one solution that is powering that ecosystem is as secure as possible. And the security actually is improved drastically, majorly, by disseminating the power between all these nodes, so that as long as 33 or more % of the nodes are honest, everything works. I'm sorry, I said it the wrong way. As long as at least 67% of the nodes are honest, everything works. The system can even be designed to be reliable in the face of if 99% of the nodes are corrupted. It just wouldn't be able to make further progress until you remove the corruption and continue. So this is the type of technology that can be done. It's not just blockchain. We're building Intercloud, which is a blockchain killer, you could say. That's the subject of another video, where it's more scalable and it's actually going to be able to power the types of decentralized applications that blockchain proponents claim that blockchain will be able to do. Like to be the first to hear about Intercoin's roadmap and news? Definitely join and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to click that little notification button so you can get updates when the next video drops and the next time we interview a legend like Noam Chomsky or Patrick Friedman. And if you would like to participate in the conversation, go to Community.intercoin.app. We'd love to hear from you and about your community. This is what the project is all about. Intercoin, bringing power to the people.